Namaste and good evening to all around the world, all in India. From me, Professor A G Iyer, President of the Renewable Energy Promotion Association and the ENERTIA Foundation in India, and also the Editor-in-Chief of the ENERTIA, Asia's premier journal on sustainable energy, power, and renewables. It's a very important day. Today is the first day of November 2021, and it's a Monday. And today is the actual first day of the COP26 conference, which is being organized in Glasgow, near London. And this is in partnership between Britain and Italy, that this COP26 meeting is being held in England. Most world leaders are part of this whole thing. 197 odd countries will be part of this. And before this, if we link, we had a G20 meeting where all these leaders were in Italy. So there is a obvious a softer zone where everybody for G20 came to Italy, and now all of them are up here in Glasgow for the summit, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi from India, who's also joined them. That is the situation. So this is the COP26, and I want to go to a little background for all of you to explain why this COP26 meeting is being done. Because it was in 2015 the Paris Accord happened, which is COP15, and that accord and a series of meetings have been held after that. And this COP26 is a landmark meeting. After that meeting, it is said to be a landmark meeting. And the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, under the United Nations Frameworks Convention for Climate Change, did the Paris Accord. In the Paris Accord, one element was, while the accord was there, America withdrew under President Donald Trump's unilateral decision to withdraw from the commitment to climate change. That happened in 2015-16 itself. So it was, in fact, the European nations and other countries like India and even China was part of that whole thing, but United States had withdrawn from its commitment to this climate, I would say, action. To reduce the, it is basically to bring the global temperature or limit its rise of temperature to about 1.5 degrees plus on the level of the industrial era. So that is the kind of targeted challenge it is. It is a very, it's something that everybody will not understand, but basically in a simple terms, it is a method in which the present rate of climate change, which is increasing the delta, that is the temperature rise of the planet every year, has to be brought down to a stabler position over the next few years. And it was said 2050 earlier, but we all agreed that by 2030, renewables energy should play a major role in bringing the carbon emissions down. That is a very simple target. On one side, the further growth of the thermal power, coal-based power, and including fossil fuel-based economy or powering the economy using fossil fuel has to reduce drastically. And on the other side, we have to increase the portfolio of renewable energy, which at the forefront, in my opinion, includes hydropower at the front, because it's the largest renewable in the world with 19% share worldwide, 18 to 19% share. And the second is actually nuclear, which France has actually spoken recently. And I have been always telling for the last 2 decades that nuclear is renewable. And its share is about 9% of the renewable portfolio. So as you go along, you will find that solar and wind are catching up, wind and solar together are catching up. But we have challenges because solar is only available 6 hours to 8 hours a day max. Even for a country like India, it's about 6 to 7 hours. And for countries in Europe and other places where solar is talked about, it's not more than 3 to 4 hours. For European Union, it will be, for America, it will be also about 4 to 5 hours. So countries in Asia can talk of longer hours, countries in the desert zones can talk of long hours of getting solar. But then I'm not getting into the complexity of after that what, then they will talk about battery storage and all. But I tell you, there is no natural storage other than pump storage hydropower. So today's discussion is not on that. Today's discussion is to explain to you the COP26 itself, the purpose of this meeting. So I'm just reading out certain things from the COP26 conference output. It says the 221 United Nations Climate Challenge Conference. It's called the UN Climate Change Conference. It's called COP26. and is the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference. It is being held in Glasgow, Scotland, United Kingdom, and yesterday there was a soft start, probably a small dinner or something in the evening. So it is technically starting today until 12th November, and its presidency this year is held by Alok Sharma, who is a member of parliament in Britain and a full-time president of the body this time, and he's supported. Italy is the supporting country in it, and it is being led at the SCC Centre, Glasgow, Scotland, United Kingdom. So it is basically in Scotland, United Kingdom, that is. Then the conference is the first time that parties are expected to commit an enhanced commission since COP21. That is the COP21 meeting and the Paris Accord. That's like a progressive way of going forward. So from the last meeting of COP21, the parties are requested to commit. Parties will carry out every 5 years that outline the Paris Agreement, right? A process colloquially known as, they call it the ratchet mechanism. Now, what is the ratchet mechanism? That needs to be explained. The ratchet mechanism. See, presently you see the pie chart of global carbon dioxide emissions under jurisdiction as of the level of 2015. First COP15 was held. This whole thing was held. There, China was the biggest polluter with 29.4% of contribution to global carbon emissions. Right? United States was at number 2 position with 14.3% as a nation. And the number 3 level was, EEA, basically the entire Europe, 9.8%, which is the European Economic Union, which was about 9.8%. And at the 4th level was India at 6.8%, 5th Russia 4.9%, Japan 3.5%. So if you look at the whole thing, you will see that these were, and the next country would be Germany. It's not shown here. It's put in the others of 31.5%. So basically, economies by GDP factor, if you see, you will see a direct connection between the GDPs and pollution. But yes, there is a flip side. Although US GDP is much larger, its energy efficiency being better, it is only 14.3% contribution, whereas China is 29.4% contribution. It directly, I want to relate this at this point to the idea of total capacity of thermal power, that is coal-based power production. Automotive is one side, but coal-based power production is key. And that is, China has more than 850 gigawatt of thermal coal-based power generation. It is reaching almost 1 terawatt, which is about 1,000 gigawatt. India is barely 200 gigawatt on, and America is only 350 gigawatt. So basically, you can see China and India's population are comparable. China's population is 1.4 billion and 4 trillion. Sorry, 1.4 billion. India's population is roughly 1.38 billion, and these two populations in the trillion fraction of GDP. China claims to have 14 trillion, but actually we know if we remove the the real estate fueled and land fueled ballooning of the GDP, China GDP should effectively be considered as 7 to 8 trillion US dollar, while India's GDP at this point has to be around the region of 2.4 trillion US dollar, which comes from our analysis at my Economic Foundation. So basically, we see consumption and pollution. India is nowhere near what China does, and not even close to what United States is doing, because with just 33 crore population, 330 million population, in the level of approximately less than 1/4 of India population, its carbon contribution is very high. If you look at 14.3%, as what is figured out. So these figures must have changed for 2021, and but the percentages and these countries would barely make a change, because 2 years we have lost COVID. That must be known. So in this period, we are barely returning to pre-COVID levels of economic activity, and it is still not come back to that level. Now, it's important that the ratchet agreement is basically to enhance the commitment from these countries. The only way these countries can enhance commitment is 2 ways. One is commit to using less coal-based power in thermal generation, and the other side is to adapt renewable energy. Now, when I say larger renewable energy, it's not only generation of power or electricity through renewable energy, but also the term that REPA puts is RE mobility. We must go to renewable energy mobility, and that does not limit itself to electric vehicles. When we say renewable energy mobility, it is two parts. One is non-IC engine based mobility, which is electric vehicles, which comes from one side, and the other side is IC engines based mobility, which actually looks at all type of transport traction and mobility that will use Bio-CNG, green hydrogen, and biodiesel. All these biofuels and hydrogen will be the game plan for the future. And when I say hydrogen, it is not going to be fuel cell. But if you go again only fuel cell, you will be powering the whole technology using fuel cell and again using a DC conversion through battery system. So instead of that, I would say we also need to look at direct use of hydrogen for traction, which is like using the hydrogen directly in the IC. So that is using in situ technologies which will be disruptive, which will make hydrogen capable of being powered into IC. So we will take back to the old Hindenburg experiment, which went to powering airships. Unfortunately, due to safety, that accident happened. But we will be returning back what we know, that hydrogen, albeit being inflammable, can be handled effectively and safely. And that is where we are going to look at, and we are going to see direct use of hydrogen as well. Technologies that will directly be able to power hydrogen. IC engines that will use hydrogen directly or burn it in the combustion chambers. So that is what we are trying to look at lean burn and efficient burn for the future. So these are the opportunities that are available, in this time. So now the trend that I wish to discuss is most important. We know what COP26 is all about. Our leadership has gone there, and the chair is with, I would say, Britain, and then Italy joins hand. But I want to put a larger dimension of situation that exists today. When we were coming, I would like, my support system to throw out what is the price of, it is in Marathi, but what is the price of fuel in today's market at this juncture. Let us put, today I had filled my diesel vehicle. I'm running a diesel vehicle, unfortunately. I have an electric scooter, an electric vehicle, but my colleague also has. But our car is a diesel car. Today, when I filled diesel in the morning, I paid about 2,000 odd rupees, and traction I got was I had to pay almost like 104.39 rupees, 104.39 paisa, 104 rupees and 39 paisa for my diesel. Basically, that means per liter I had to pay this price at this juncture. And you see on the chart it is shown the petrol prices are just phenomenal. This is all in Maharashtra. The highest rate in Maharashtra is 117.98 per liter in Parvani, a remote corner of Maharashtra, and diesel was 107.35 per liter. And what I'm talking, 104.37 in Pune. So I paid 104.39 for a liter today when I filled half of my tank, of my Bolero, Mahindra vehicle, Indian vehicle for sure. So that's what it is. So I would love to have a renewable energy solution shortly, but right now I have that car used for long distance. That car, because distance travel for these cars that will be very low. But I want to say that I don't want to look at electric. I want to see whether my Bolero runs on Bio-CNG. That will be the revolution. That is CNG, compressed Bio-CNG, which is compressed biogas brought out of our farm waste or agro waste, and all that is made available through pumping into the gas grid here through the scheme that is talked about SATAC. So that is where I wish to look at the whole story. So this is the biggest scheme of the government, and the government is not concentrating at this time. Of course, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas is doing human work under Secretary Tarun Kapoor to ensure this happens. But I think a lot of focus is needed back so that we find a way, because the rates available are 46 rupees a kg, very attractive rates. Farmers can benefit out of selling their waste, and there could be a peg mark for purchasing the parali, that is the wheat chaff, then rice husk and bagasse and all kind of agro waste, and hybridize it with cow dung and bovine waste, or the animal waste, animal farm related outputs. So this is a good hybridization from which Bio-CNG can come. We are coming up with white paper and supported by the German enterprise called Evonik, which is a producer of a technology for conversion of or upgradation of Bio-CNG, separation upgradation of Bio-CNG. Yes, and this white paper could be a landmark white paper, which will be releasing at REPA short in due course, and we are already on it. So this is the situation under which we are discussing this day when COP26 is coming. So what's happened to the Indian prices? So I want to give you a little bit background. In the year 2020-21, it was the year of sharp fall in the petroleum prices, which went to an international benchmark. And in the month of April 2020, I will remind everyone here that the crude was ruling at somewhere near US dollar 9.12 per barrel, probably one of the lowest in the recent history. And its lowest was December 10, 1998. The lowest was December 10, 1998. But crude oil went below $10 per barrel. And the crude oil basket reached $19.9 per barrel in the April 2020. It reached, that basket had reached $19.9, but the lowest was 9.12 per barrel. Now, the price of diesel fuel per liter in April 2020 was ruling at 65 to 75 per liter, depending on whether it was in Delhi or it was in the inflated zone of Dubai, where the global crude at that time was ruling at close to $100 per barrel. It was ruling close to $100 in the average. And in September, for example, in September 2020, the prices of crude had returned back to US dollar 74 to 75 per barrel in the 2020 zone. So this must be known. And we are talking of prices of fuel in April 2020 was ruling between this, when the crude had touched, at $10 per barrel or $100 per barrel, $10. So 2020 low price, but yet the price of diesel was between 65 to 75 per liter. It was almost like that, whether you were in Delhi or in Mumbai, depending on which zone you were in, it was good. But in the period of September 2020, again going back to the old period, that is about 6 months, April to September 2020, the crude oil basket from $10 per barrel had turned back to US dollar 75. Already returned to that kind of a pricing, right? And the prices of fuel also rose very quickly with that. I will then, what is the current price at 2020? Price of diesel fuel per liter in October 21 ruled between 100 to 105. As you know, today price was close to that, 105 per liter. When today the global crude oil prices are 83 to 85 per barrel. What is effectively meaning that if you go back to an era which probably we have forgotten, if we go back to that era, right? So we are looking at an era of 2030 when the present government was not there. That our present government has been ruling since 2014 until now. So when 2013 figures we take, we will find the global oil production benchmark. We also discussed the oil production benchmark. Global oil production benchmark of 2020 was 88.4 million barrels per day, which was lowest because of pandemic. And the level of oil production reached all-time high in 2019 at 95 million barrels per day. And we today are almost close back to that 2019 level of 95 million barrels per day. 2021, I'm discussing the first number. When this COP26 day, I'm discussing on this day. Important to discuss this matter of this COP26. And if now we go back, as I said that I wanted to go back to the period of 2013 in the year, the crude oil prices swung between a high of US dollar 110.62 per barrel to a low of 86.65 per barrel, with a year average of 97.98 per barrel. And if you look at present day, November, December, it was ruled at $98.83 per barrel. As I was telling some time back, that $100 per day was the price, and the highest diesel average price was 74.1 liter, 74.1 per liter in Delhi of September 2013. What I want you to understand is, nobody can explain this. See, today our crude oil prices are 83 to 85, lower than that level of 98.83 per barrel. And our prices for diesel are ruling as 105, and petrol is at 110 plus, 114 or 116 today, to be precise. And in 2013, when it was one of the highest, what has happened is, in spite of the crude ruling at $98.83 per barrel, the prices in the market for diesel were in the region of 74 to 75 rupees per liter. I would say 75 to 80, 74.1 to let's say 80 rupees per liter, depending on where it is. That was the price. So this is unexplainable for a country like, because the government cannot explain this. So it is very unfair that we are seeing this kind of a price ruling when the crude has not even touched 100. We talked about the highest rate of $110 per barrel at the time, and yet the highest rate for diesel and petrol was not crossing 75 to 80. In fact, was only 75 liters per 75 rupees per liter. That was the highest diesel rate in 2013. Today, again, I'm repeating, we are at 83 to $85 per barrel on crude, and our prices are hit the $105 for diesel and $115 plus for petrol. So this is inexplicable. There is no explanation to this. It is all buffered high taxes and high duties that are not giving relief to our people. So this is my request to the current government, that you must have some practical sense to look at. This is just not acceptable. This is a definite harakiri, because inflation is being driven through the prices of both the diesel and petrol. Remember that the electric vehicle penetration expected to be in the region of I would say 17 to 18% by 2030. Today the penetration is quite low. Today the penetration, if I look at, far below 5% or 6% is the penetration. It is not in the region of a very big market share. I would say very big, more than the market share, it's the floor share. That means how many vehicles are on the road. And if you look at a floor share, we are not even 4 to 5%. And we have to cross a lot of barrier to get this electric vehicle revolution. So is it that to push this up that we are forcing this, kind of condition? Then I would have a question to the government. I repeated some time back something very interesting. I said it will not be electric vehicle alone, but it will be also the revolution of compressed biogas in the internal combustion, and also biodiesel, and also hydrogen, which will come into play. And it should be commercially viable. Vehicles should be affordable. Clean energy can come into space, and industry should also adopt use of clean energy. That means a lot of use of green hydrogen will come into the picture for sure. And Bio-CNG in the transport, which is compressed biogas, should come in a big way. And SATAT is limited to 5,000 projects, but we can do 10,000 projects and even 250,000 of these small decentralized plants to get Bio-CNG from rural economy and agroeconomy and the waste, I would say, conversion. So including municipal waste. That's what we are looking at, the larger diaspora, a larger revolution. But till such time, I think we need to focus on the ICE system. We need to give a multiple opportunity to the RE mobility than just e-mobility. So electric vehicle is not the only solution to us. And we have to be very careful. My point is clear here, that the government cannot tax its people, create an inflationary economy. That will only make the rich rich and the poor poor. And the middle class suffers very badly, and MSMEs suffer very badly in this in a very heavily inflationary economy. So it is all type of, it's not only crude, even the food products and everything are inflated, getting inflation today. And edible oil is a phenomenal inflation. We have got edible oil at 200 rupees a liter. So are we trying to bring crude and edible together? That is the most important issue that comes into play. So COP26 is meeting. All the leaders are there, at the COP26, but none of them are speaking. Today, the prices of diesel and petrol are also averaging very high in foreign countries as well. So are we following them? We are a underdeveloped or a rather transitional economy. We're still a developing economy, not underdeveloped, but we have become underdeveloped in the COVID times because of a huge loss of jobs, huge loss of situation, and also a little bit of what we have done in an economic hierarchy. How we have handled our economy has been very bad. So the combination of these factors cannot allow an inflationary methodology of crude and crude is on one side is not ruling at the highest. It is expected that by 2022 crude oil will come down to $50 per barrel. That is the projection of International Energy Agency, and they have projected that that will come down to $55 a barrel, $50 to $55 a barrel. So today the rates are still higher. So in this time we cannot increase our gas prices, our fuel prices and food prices, and load a population already struggling after COVID. That cannot be done. It's a political hierarchy. It's kind of a decision. Government has to roll back the prices substantially. I would say they have to look at a target of rupees 50 for the diesel and a target of something like 50 to 60 for the diesel, and a target of rupees 60 to 70 for the petrol, if they want to bring the economy back to level and want to fuel the growth back into system. Because if they drive this, an inflationary economy will create scarcity, and it will be scarcity where plenty is available, will create artificial scarcity. Every product produced will cost more, energy input costs going higher, and now next is with the coal situation, with buying very high prices of, with a very high price discount of buying electricity, they would increase the tariff of electricity, and then the whole purpose will be defeated. Today, if you have an electric vehicle, the cost of using an electric vehicle will be very cheaper compared to conventional fossil fuel vehicle. But what happens that if you bring Bio-CNG, that situation may change, but because our infrastructure cost will be very less, because conversion into Bio-CNG of vehicles is much easier. Even the tractor can be run using a Bio-CNG or compressed biogas. So if that is the situation, we need to look at easier adoption and easier adaptation of the new technology of Bio-CNG, and then convert it to hydrogen. Then looking at complete disruption of our automotive industry, which is today on the IC engine, I would say base and bed, so shift them to electric vehicle bed. So because there is these two trains don't meet. And the other warning is silicon is rare. So if you are powering with silicon, silicon is not rare. Silicon is phenomenal. Solar can move in the solar sector, but lithium is rare. Lithium is a rare earth material. Now, while we power silicon, we have to be very careful with the powering lithium, because on one side you will start getting battery storage for powering the grid, and then huge lithium, and these batteries have lower shelf life because they cannot run for more than 7 to 10 years. Even our phone batteries, they die down over the next day. So basically it's just 1 day plus, that's all. And that's the lithium ion technology. Even if it goes to 4 to 5 years of battery life, then also it is not substantial. Our power purchase agreements are 25. Now I see there is a pitch going on to make smaller power purchase agreements. So my question is coming: is there a lobby? Is there a global lobby which wants to push the renewable agenda even before we have reached there and force certain half-baked technology into our hand? When the efficiency of solar has only come to 19% PLF, efficiency of wind is not more than 25%. It cannot compare with the efficient use of conversion in nuclear power plants and hydropower plants, which are highly efficient. And also coal-based power plant, 50% conversion factor is coming with ultra mega. So, and gas is phenomenal. If you use the combined heat and power, gas can go 88% efficient. And natural gas reduces the carbon emission by 77%. So instead of looking at these solutions, that is shifting into a gas economy from a coal-driven economy, and then making gas affordable and more available, we are probably going to invest too much on the lithium, where lithium is a rare earth material, and to fire the whole world with this kind of battery technology and BLDC motor, and then driving that whole thing, it may somewhere have a break, it come to an end, and the prices will again go up. Acquisition of electric vehicle system or electricity powered grid system will become costlier and costlier as we go along. And electricity will also cost phenomenally, as it is happening in Europe. The prices of all the energy commodities are on the rise in Europe. America is a little bit better, but Europe is on. Whether you buy gasoline, I'll give you some example today. The price of gasoline in the US market is equivalent to our rupees 85 per liter. Advanced economy, a $24 trillion economy of the world, is giving gasoline at a lower price in the market than in India. India, it is close to 115 per liter today. So that means they are cheaper. The Americans are getting their automotive fuel cheaper. In Germany, it is much higher. It is about 130 to 135 per liter gasoline. So they are paying more than Indians. In Japan, it is almost in the same range. They are still lesser than us. We are at 116. It will come to 107 rupees per liter equivalent. So I mean to say we are not a rich country. So our prices are not explainable. At least this time our prices should be in the range at which US is there. And I said we should target at 50 to 60 rupees per liter for diesel, or maybe 65 at the most. And for petrol, it should not be more than 75 rupees per liter. That's what I have been looking at. This is the minimum relief the government can give to our people. And on this day of COP21, even though we are using this conventional fuel rising, I can tell you our consumption of fuel in the economy has not risen. It has barely reached the same level as of 2019. It is not beyond that level. So I don't think we need to have punitive prices of the petrol and diesel. And my question is, are these people meeting over there? Is a lobby involved? Because I saw some of the sponsors and other people in Britain. I found that there is a battery lobby where that's already come in. So all the fossil fuel lobby is not there. There's another lobby, the lithium ion battery lobby is there. And definitely the hydrogen fuel, I will not, it's a good lobby, let it be there. I have no problems with it. But this electric vehicle lobby should not fuel the COP21, and they should not be driving the agenda of COP21, because everything is not very good about electric vehicles. There is a limit. They have a role. I would say people buying scooter and maybe buying car for limited travel is fine. But for long distance, we need to look at IC engine-based REPA. And that is my final take on today's ENFRA show. And I still feel that these leaders, whatever they are doing, I hope they are not partying around. They're not going meeting and giving lip service as usual. They've done in the past. And this meeting also, I must thank that it was thanks to United Nations President Joe Biden joining back the Paris Accord and the agreement that this meeting in England is happening. In fact, the leaders that must be congratulated for making this meeting happen are, in fact, Joe Biden, and I would also congratulate Russian President Putin. They are the most important leaders for supporting, and I hope they have the background spinal cord and the ability to tell the rest that you can't charge or tax your people. America is not taxing its people. It's trying to be more kinder to its population. They are trying to look at, because I've told you the prices, its prices for gasoline are lower than that of India. 85 rupees per liter in the US market, while we are being charged 115 rupees a liter. So this is not done. And I would also ask Merkel, Angela Merkel, the best leader that Europe saw, or probably the world saw, is leaving, but she has to put this agenda up as well, that the rupees 130 per liter price for gasoline in Germany is just undesirable. So I hope that they should be in the level of what US is doing. So my sincere prayer to this COP26 leaders, that they don't make this another picnic party, but come out of it not as after the G20 G stuff. I feel they should come out G all together, and G all and the COP26 must have the spinal cord to support the renewable energy traction in developing economies like India, or rather transitional economies like India. With this, I say goodbye to all of you. Jai Hind. Namaskar.